This video is not sponsored by Denny's. Being bored sucks. Like, you know there's stuff you could do, maybe there's stuff you should do, but it all just feels so uninteresting. Things just seem so monotonous, so redundant. Even something relaxing like playing a video game or watching a movie seems like a chore. But just how bad is boredom? The philosopher Soren Kierkegaard, writing from the perspective of an aesthetic philosopher in the first half of this book, wrote that boredom might be one of the biggest problems of all in this world. What wonder then that the world is regressing, that evil is gaining ground more and more, since boredom is on the increase and boredom is a root of all evil. When you're bored, evil has an opportunity to emerge. Kierkegaard uses the example of Adam and Eve being bored in the Garden of Eden, so they eat from the forbidden tree. Now, while you may not agree that boredom is that bad, I'm sure you'll at least agree that you'd rather not be bored than be bored. So let's take a look at a philosopher's suggestions on how to overcome this obstacle. Hey, I'm Paul and welcome to Philosophy Tunes. My next video is going to be a Q&A for 10k subs, so comment your question below and it might be featured in the video. Alright, no more wasting time. Hopefully I didn't bore you with that. Let's figure out how to overcome boredom. So let's start looking at a pretty popular way many people fight boredom, by doing something. Don't be idle, just go out there and hustle. Get up and do something. Hell, even working will save you from boredom. But Kierkegaard doesn't really see this as a good solution. The busiest workers of all, those who in their officious buzzing about most resemble humming insects, are the most boring of all. And if they don't bore themselves, that's because they have no idea what boredom is. But in that case, boredom is not annulled. We've all probably worked a job we just didn't care about, right? I mean, yeah, you probably made up some BS during the job interview about just how passionate you are, but if we're keeping it 100, you weren't passionate about working a drive-thru or mopping up floors. For me, I worked at a grocery store. And yeah, even though I was busy all the time doing something, I was still bored. I did not give a shit. So simply being busy doesn't eliminate boredom. So what then? Well, another popular solution to this problem is change. Variety is the spice of life, they say. But is change really our savior here? Kierkegaard thinks this method too has limitations. One is tired of dining off porcelain, one dines off silver. One tires of that, one dines off gold. One burns half of Rome to get an idea of the conflagration at Troy. This method defeats itself. It is the bad infinite. Now, to me, the limitations of this method are a matter of resources. In order to have a lot of change in your life, you need money. You need money to travel, to rearrange your apartment, to get new books, to see new movies. And ultimately, this lifestyle is one that only the privileged few can enjoy. And on top of that, those people probably have to work to get that lifestyle, and work itself can be boring. So can we finally get an actual solution now? Kierkegaard proposes something he calls crop rotation. The method I propose consists not in changing the soil, but, as in the real rotation of crops, in changing the method of cultivation and type of grain. But what does this mean exactly? Are we supposed to become farmers now? Well, not really, it's just an allegory. Basically, for this point, Kierkegaard is suggesting we actually limit ourselves to try and escape boredom. There's two main ways we should try to limit ourselves to succeed. One, we train ourselves to try to find enjoyment in the smaller things. And two, we limit our enjoyment and significance of events where we might get carried away. So starting with point one, Kierkegaard gives examples of how we could find enjoyment in the smaller things. The more you limit yourself, the more resourceful you become. A prisoner in solitary confinement for life is most resourceful. A spider can cause him much amusement. Now, instead of finding enjoyment through constant change and getting a hedonistic rush from outside things, Kierkegaard here seems to suggest that we learn to cultivate amusement intrinsically, not extrinsically. So that's part one. As for part two, Kierkegaard wants us to limit the significance we receive from amusing events in order to forget them more easily. Because to forget something is to encounter it as an almost brand new thing the next time round. It's like how some people wish they could watch a really great movie for the first time again, so they could get hit with all the surprising plot twists. Forgetting is an art that must be practiced beforehand. Being able to forget depends always on how one remembers, but how one remembers depends in turn on how one experiences reality. So if how we experience something directly influences its memorability, how do we experience something so that we can easily forget it later? Kierkegaard suggests that when we feel enjoyment setting in, we in turn rein it in. Every life situation possesses no more importance than that one can forget it whenever one wants to. Single life situations should have enough importance, however, for one to be able at any time to remember it. So when you begin to notice that you are being carried away by enjoyment or a life situation too strongly, stop for a moment and remember, one must keep reins on the enjoyment from the beginning, not set all sail for everything you decide on. So those are the two main ways that Kierkegaard suggests you deal with boredom. One of them is a bit of a long-term plan, but the other can be done right now. Bonus tip, try to find enjoyment in arbitrariness. Do something random and wild just for no rational reason, and it might oddly be enjoyable. Me and my friends call this doing something for the meme. Just do some dumb shit with your friends for no reason whatsoever. One enjoys something entirely accidental. One regards the whole existence from this standpoint, lets its reality run aground on it. Alright, I wanted to keep this video short and succinct because you might ironically get bored. So if you enjoyed yourself, then like, subscribe, and hit the bell. And with that, I wish you all a beautiful rest of your day.